Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'd like to discuss the most forgotten about Wings of Fire character, Hvitur. It genuinely makes me sad when I think about just how much the fandom has forgotten about him, and I'd love to see more content relating to Hvitur. This video contains spoilers for the Dragonette Prophecy and Escaping Peril, so please keep that in mind. Also, I'd like to thank you guys for 4,000 subscribers. This means so much to me, and I'm genuinely thankful for all the support I've been recently receiving. Seriously, you guys are the best. And also, I've recently started a Patreon. You can check it out with the first link in the description, and on it you'll find a lot of cool rewards. Shout out to my first patron, Crazy Roblox Man. Link in the description to their YouTube channel. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. A little under 2 weeks ago, I decided to make a community post poll about if you guys would be interested in seeing a winglet on Hvitur, and it surprised me how many people simply forgot about his character. Though honestly, I can't blame them. It's not that Hvitur himself is forgettable, and it's quite the opposite to me. He had a lot of potential that ultimately got wasted. If you don't remember who he is, Hvitur was the first character introduced in the series. In the Dragonette Prophecy's prologue, we are introduced to Hvitur, an Icewing working for the Talons of Peace. He had managed to steal a Skywing egg for the prophecy, and I'm pretty sure you know the rest from there. Burn ends up killing him and the egg, thinking that the prophecy will be doomed without a Skywing. And we learn later that Queen Scarlet also kills all the Skywing eggs in the hatchery that were supposed to hatch that night, just to be safe. But outside of that prologue, we only got 2 brief mentions of Hvitur in the entire series. It's like Tui completely forgot about him. This really pains me more than any other character, simply because of how much potential there was for him. Even though Hvitur died, Tui should have done a winglet about him. I think there should be a massive winglet about the Talons of Peace during the war, with different chapters based on its members. One section of the winglet could be based on Kestrel's whole life, from her hatching to her death. This is something I'd really want to see, as it would help readers understand Kestrel's misery, and just how much losing her dragonettes impacted her. Plus, seeing why she joined the Talons of Peace is something I've always been interested in. Another one could be about Webbs and his life after joining the Talons, specifically centering around Coral's unfair treatment of Webbs' family, and the short time he got to spend with Riptide. The third could be about Dune and the story of him stealing Sunny's egg. This must have had a huge impact on Dune because he ended up losing all his friends and having to flee from his home. Seeing the thought process that went into that tough decision would be something I think any Wings of Fire fan would enjoy seeing. And finally, Hvitur. I want to see a summary of Hvitur's life and why he joined the Talons. Because when you think about it, why would an Icewing join the Talons of Peace? There are no confirmed Icewing members because Cirrus ended up being just Chameleon in his Icewing form, so I'm curious as to why and how Hvitur is able to free from his kingdom and leave that life behind. We haven't seen much of him, but from the bit we have seen, I can tell that he probably disliked the way the Icewings live. Maybe once he ran away, probably as just a villager and not anyone who lived in the palace, Hvitur would somehow learn about the Talons and wish to join. I just love to see a winglet about him, and it could end with Hvitur's final thoughts before going to get the Skywing egg. This would be heartbreaking because as the readers, we know he's going to die. But Hvitur would muster up all of his courage, and the winglet would end with him saying how this decision was going to change the world. He would take off into the sky, and the Talons of Peace Mega Winglet would be over. Anyways, what do you guys think? Besides Hvitur, I feel like Tui should introduce some other characters who were part of the Talons of Peace. We haven't learned much about them, and considering how important they seem to be during the war, I feel like having 1 or 2 new characters in this winglet would allow for some more world building. We haven't seen much content of lives during the war for Sounding Secession, and considering how impactful it was on Pyra, we should be able to read about it. With all the chaos surrounding Darkstalker and the events of Arc 3, I hope the original war that plagued the continent doesn't end up forgotten in the story. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!